your family, with your loved ones as you go through this month, a blessed month of Ramadan. The message today is very simple. The Ramadan's here to teach us taqwa, so that we may attain taqwa, as the ayah mentions, in regards to the prescription that has been given to us. So there are certain ailments that a human being, they experience as they live their lives, as they explore, discover wonderful things in this life. And there are prescriptions that have been given to us so that when we get sick, we're able to utilize this beneficial knowledge, these beneficial hikam, wisdom, that we could benefit, and then we could be able to sustain ourselves, inshallah. So Ramadan is actually just like the five pillars, as have been mentioned: shahada, salah, zakah, siyam, right, fasting, and hajj. These are tools for us to get close to Allah, to be able to find Allah in our lives. And this enables us to be able to explore the world with a way that where we could come back to and find a resting spot, perhaps, right? Or a place where we could feel that we have been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much. So I'll share an example, inshallah. So Ramadan's the time where we feel thirst, hunger. We feel that our appetites, our egos, our shahwat have been, cordoned off, like, they have been put on a stop or put on a hold, even basic necessities. And one of the fundamental thing that we learn from, for a human perspective, is that we're always seeking things. And Ramadan comes and we have to say no. We have to say, I can't do this. And the answer to our conscious or subconscious is that we always tell, no, I'm not going to eat. No, I'm not going to drink water. No, I'm not going to break my fast. No, I'm not going to quarrel with somebody or fight with anyone or backbite or do things that we've been stopped, we've been told not to do. So the lesson it is that the very first thing that we accept Islam, we declare the word no. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We say there's no one worthy of worship except God. No deity, nothing there. God is the priority. And that's the beginning. And Ramadan teaches us by saying no to your appetite, to your desires, to your ego, to your conscious, where you're feeling thirst and hunger and pain or headaches, but you continue to go on. So by saying no, you elevate yourself in recognition of the Lord who has given you all these beneficial things. So first and foremost, I just wanted to mention that about the benefits of Ramadan or fasting as a tool to seek nearness to Allah. And that's what happens. It's a way, it's a form of worship, ibadah, that we seek Allah. We're not seeking aftari or like the food at the end of the day. We're actually seeking our Lord. So subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is one of the greatest ways for us to find God. So I wanted to mention that first. And then the second thing I want to mention, inshallah, as many people, this is a time where you're busy and you're preparing food, taking care of kids, and you're exhausted. You're traveling, you're commuting back and forth from work, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted, and you really want to just have some peace and some time for yourself, inshallah. And that's great, inshallah, and hopefully you would time for ibadah and for making dua, inshallah, as well. I do remember a story where it's about having the right perspective, right? So some people will go through it, and the Prophet ﷺ have reminded us that they will not have anything from fasting except hunger and thirst. That's all they get. There are people who would fast, but all they get from it, meaning there's no reward for them. Why? Because the way that their intention, their sincerity, their seeking, what they were seeking was just food and the thirst to be quenched. So that's what they were seeking, and that's really what they got out of this whole lesson, right? The teaching of Ramadan. But if you are seeking more than that, then you will find more than that, inshallah. And so I wanted to talk about a story, and this is a true story, but somebody that I know, they experienced this and they told me about this. So it was something that benefited me. So I said I figured I'd share it with you. So at this point, when you are really tired and exhausted, and you really are on like the last energy level, like 10% down, right, or 10% remaining. So it's like how you have the gas light on where it's like, oh, you need more gas. That's where your tank is showing empty. So your energy levels is out basically. But at the same time, there was a sister who was actually went to the masjid nearby, not to be mentioned the name, and she volunteered. And they were preparing for Ramadan iftar plans, and everybody was. I think she got there late, and they were all volunteering, like raising their hands. Who could bring in? Um, who could bring in the food items like this, who could bring in X or Y, or who could bring in fruits and things of that nature, milk, right? So they were all preparing, and they were all, and then she was there at the end. So she said, I'll bring anything that you need me. And then the person who was organizing the iftar, and the iftar was it was like a big iftar for like about 100 people or 200 people, right? So it was a lot of people who were going to be there. And so the host said, the person who was the organizer, they said, well, we haven't thought about water. We need to bring water bottles because there will be so many people, and we need to make sure that they have water bottles. Would you mind bringing in water bottles? So the woman said, that's fine. I'll bring in water bottles. And that would be great. That's not an issue. So all was done. Everybody went with their items that they were going to bring back. And so they left. And so this woman comes back home, and then she shares it with her husband that I think it was like tomorrow or the next day that there's an iftar, and I'll be, taking care of it. I'm going to go there and serve some of the people. So the husband said, what is it that you were asked to bring? What are you going to be cooking? Or, things of, he was thinking like there will be some food items. And so the woman said, well, it will be water. That's all I got to bring. So the husband got very upset. He was like, first, he was like, how could they? And then he started to laugh and he started to smile. So the woman was puzzled. It was like, 1 second you were very upset, and then another second you were laughing. I didn't tell any jokes. I didn't tell you any bad news. I just said, I'm going to bring water to people for iftar. And so the husband, the conclusion is here. And again, this is all about your perspective. How do you see things in your life? So the husband said, first, when I heard that there's an iftar for 100 or 200 people, and then I heard that you have to bring water for these 100 or 200 people, you can't carry 200 water bottles by yourself. You're an older person, and it's not an easy task. That requires a lot of work. That requires a lot of lifting water bottles. I think they come in like 24 pack or 30 pack. So imagine 30, like even if they're small, medium size, small size water bottles, you have to carry one, two, three, four, five. Like you have to at least 10 of these, right? 30 to 300 or 200 for 100 people. So you would have to carry all that water by yourself and bring it to the masjid, and then drop it off and all. So that's a lot of work for you. And how could they? So I got upset because I said, you're an older person, you're a woman who's going to have difficult time lifting all this weight and transferring these water bottles from one place to another. And, the organizer couldn't really think about what they were doing. So I got really upset thinking about you and thinking about the task that you were given. And so the woman said, but what made you smile at the same time or a split second after? So the husband, he said to the woman that, I thought about it, and another thought came to my mind. The thought that rushed to my mind, secondly, was this thought that, look, my wife's gonna gain when people are going to be there, they're going to break their iftar. They're going to use water, and they'll take a sip of water to break their fast. And guess who's going to bring in the water bottles? And guess who's going to get the reward for making sure that 200 people or 100 people have quenched their thirst or broken their iftar, or with water? Who's going to get that reward? So I thought about it and I said, my wife's going to get all the reward. So for that reason, I started to smile. And so, my brothers and sisters, the point is, and this is a true story, the point is, in life, there's perspective. Nothing good or bad really happens except that you look at it and you say, "Qaddar Allah wa ma sha'a," right? This is Allah's qadr, and what He decided happened. How can I gain something beneficial, good blessings from this incident or from this thing that is happening in my life, from this experience? How can I get some blessings? And how can I avoid things that would harm or hurt other people? What are things? Sometimes you have to be patient. Sometimes you have to show shukr, gratitude. And so with that mindset, inshallah, when we look at life, when we look at fasting, when we look at work, when we look at serving other people, when we look at family relations, when we look at finance, when we look at our health, when we look at spirituality, when we look at education, whatever we're in the field of life that we're looking at, when we look at it from the perspective of where and how can I find God in all of this blessing, I have gained. I didn't lose anything. But when we seek from all of our experiences, very egotistical, way by saying, "What can I gain from this?" When we're simply looking something of this world, from this world, or from the people of this world, then we lose perspective. Then it becomes a race, and then it becomes a nafsi nafsi, like myself, myself. I only care about myself, right? So that becomes a very, again, egotistical experience for someone. The way to gain with Allah is to serve people and to worship God. And that's what Ramadan teaches us. Again, this is a beautiful month. I wish you all the blessings of Ramadan. I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens His blessings and showers His blessings on you and your family, gives you good health, gives you wealth, gives you, inshallah, all the blessings of Laylatul Qadr, inshallah, and forgive you and forgive your family members, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. We make dua for all of our brothers and sisters, whether here in the U.S. or overseas, those who are suffering, those who are in blessings, those who are with health crises, or those who have good health. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be with us, inshallah, every moment, and that we do not leave us to the dunya, to the people of the dunya. We ask Allah's protection. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala His help and assistance in all matters and guidance in all affairs. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.